This day in history, on April 1965, today is the 150th anniversary of the beginning of the end of the Civil War. This is a quote from, I believe, the History Channel. Harried mercilessly by federal troops and continually cut off from turning south, Lee headed west, eventually arriving at Appomattox. Well, I need not go through all of it. Anyhow, this was basically the day that General Lee surrendered. And 5 days later, on April 14th, 1865, Good Friday, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. It's kind of backstory to all of this stuff. Now, that said, and all of that said, I don't know if you saw this morning and last night, the fellow who did the recording in South Carolina, his name is Fiden Santana, I believe, has said on multiple occasions he was it took several days to get that video out because he was afraid for his life. He was literally thinking, he's from the Dominican Republic, he was literally thinking about going back to the Dominican Republic because he was afraid the police were going to track him down and punish him for having videotaped this police officer murdering this African-American man. And John Vibes is with us. He's an investigative journalist with the Free Thought Project. TheFreeThoughtProject.com is the website. John, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. I'm talking about this, the fellow who filmed this video that we saw, but back, some months ago, there were one or maybe two. I guess there were two people who filmed the murder of Eric Garner in New York City and on Staten Island. And you've got a story about what happened to the guy who was holding that camera. Tell us about this.
Yes, his name is Ramsey Orta, and his case has really disappeared from the news for the past month, so I really appreciate you covering this. He was one of the people who filmed Eric Garner's murder, and both of the people who filmed the murder were targeted. There was
targeted by the police?
Yes, absolutely. There was another woman by the name of Taisha Allen, and she also filmed in a different circumstance. She was, I guess, on the other side of the police and Eric Garner from where Ramsey Orta was. And she was also targeted by police as well and harassed. And with Orta, it was even more serious because he was very vocal for the murder. And, he was kind of putting the NYPD to task about this, and rightfully so. And the police began targeting his family, driving by his house at night, shining spotlights through his window, stopping him and searching him every time they saw him on the street, trying to get a hold of his cell phone. So he was experiencing a lot of harassment because of this. And then they eventually they did search him and allegedly found a unlicensed firearm on him, and they arrested him. And then later in court, they started to try to bring him up on drug charges that had allegedly happened in the interim. Now, a lot of this is being reported by the mainstream media as if it was true, but there hasn't been any evidence put forward about this at all. And, when Orta was searched and raided, there was no drugs found on him. They did find the unlicensed firearm. He is claiming that he has been set up, which, in my eyes, one way or the other, I feel that this would not have happened to him if he did not film that arrest and if he wasn't as outspoken about it. I'm sorry, if he didn't film the murder.
Yeah, we're talking with John Vibes, investigative journalist with the Free Thought Project. And it's amazing. And just in the last hour, I had a caller call in and tell the story of being an African-American teenager over by the police, and one of the people that he was with essentially talked back to the police, and they pulled out a .38 pistol in a plastic bag and said, "This is an illegal weapon that was involved in a murder, and we just found it in your car," which was absolute. The police and the kids on the pavement there on their knees with their hands behind their heads all knew that this was the police's way of saying, we can get you if we want to, because the gun was not in their car; it had come out of the police car. So that's a pretty astonishing story. And then the fellow who videotaped the murder of Eric Garner then he ends up in was it in Rikers and rat poison in the food?
Yeah, and there's a lot going on at Rikers right now that it goes even way deeper than Ramsey's case. Just about a month ago, there was a really disturbing situation that occurred at Rikers where a male inmate attempted to rape a female corrections officer. However, there was a dozen or so inmates who broke down a glass barrier to save this woman, and they could have saved this woman's life potentially. And I don't think that the prison it really did not make them look too good that the inmates were there protecting the correctioners officers. So there are some people who have speculated that maybe the rat poison ended up in the jailhouse because of that. There are a lot of issues going on at Rikers now.
And you write that the NYPD has acknowledged that there was rat poison in the food being served to the inmates, and that I don't have my note in front of me. Mr. Ortega, what's his name? Orta?
Orta?
Mr. Orta was refusing to eat because he was afraid he was going to be poisoned.
Yeah, and rightfully so. If there's rat poison turning up in the food, right around him, and he is pretty much public enemy number one around there with these guys, he has every right to be concerned. And unfortunately, he's been living on vending machine food because he can't trust anything that doesn't come out of a wrapper. Wow. And, I spoke with his aunt the other day. He's malnourished, and he's just really looking forward to getting out and fighting his case from the outside.
I saw the...
Luckily, there has been...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm just saying, luckily, there has been a huge outpouring of support since this story broke this week, and actually people found out what's been happening to him. So many people didn't even understand that he was still in jail. And
I thought that they had raised enough money. I mean, there's that GoFundMe page for him, and I thought that they had raised more than they needed for his bail, and that he was out by now. Is he not out?
Well, we did raise the money about 2 days ago, and it took about 24 to 48 hours for the GoFundMe account, the money in there, to get transferred to the lawyers. And then the lawyers have to give it to the courts, and now the money is in the hand of the court system, and now they're going through their process. And we all know how the gears of bureaucracy grind slow, especially when they want them to. So Orta's aunt was told that he will be out in the next week sometime, and it's all just a matter of this paperwork. So we're all just waiting for him to come home at this point.
Amazing. I thought when you raised bond, you got out. I mean, that's astonishing. And
it is really a shame. They hold you until they want you to. And I've seen this happen a number of times with cases I've researched. And even when I have had situations of my own, they take a long time to fill out the paperwork that they need to. If you happen to be locked up on a weekend, or if the bail is posted on a weekend, you're not going to see any kind of movement on that until everybody comes into the office on Monday.
Amazing. John Vibes, investigative journalist with The Free Thought Project, thefreethoughtproject.com. You can read all about it. Thank you so much, John, for dropping by.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for the story.
You're welcome, and good on you for writing it up, for sharing it with us all. Thank you, John. We'll be back. It's 15 minutes past the hour.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So now filming a police officer killing a black person is something that can end you up in jail. Is this another terrorist act?